Hello, and welcome to another Wednesday Musings from the Spirit of New Earth. Today, I'd like to share a backstory about my parents, since this is a time of year to bring closure to many, many things in our lives. So, my parents were born in Berkeley, California. Their parents were from Honshu, Japan. And I don't know much about my mom's parents. They remain kind of mysterious in my life. Although my mom's mother, I really liked her. She was a really nice woman, but I don't know much about her. I know she used to babysit me when I was really young. My dad's parents, his mom was an aristocrat and his dad was a farmer. And they decided to get married, which was kind of crossing the cultural boundaries there in Japan, just like in India. And for some reason, they fled to America. Don't know the story behind all that. For Japanese people, they don't share much of their history and their background. So my parents were born in the earlier part of the 20th century. I think in 1910 and 1914 they were born. My mom was a little bit older than my dad. I feel like I've been very lucky to have been born with parents that were very loving, very kind, and wanted the best for me. Although we grew up sort of in a lower middle class environment, and so my dad had to work many menial jobs to raise the family. My mom didn't work until perhaps she was in her early 50s, and she got a job at the Oakland post office as a clerk. That was, I believe, her first job. She mostly stayed home and took care of the family. And dad had to work a lot. I remember dad would go to sleep about 9:30 and get up at 4 very early every day. He was very dedicated to his jobs. So my parents tried to raise me Methodist, although me being the rebel, me being kind of like the outcast, the black sheep of the family, so to speak, a little bit like a renegade little kid with too much energy for my mom. My mom used to say, "You give me a pain in the neck." And hopefully that was just figuratively and not actually. Uh, but if I did physically cause pain in your neck, Mom, I apologize. Didn't mean to be such a pain in the butt with you. So I was a bit of a unmanageable kid because I had all this energy. I guess I was hyperactive, but maybe not in the sense of today, but I just had a lot of energy. And I remember I used to get up really early to go to elementary school. I grew up in Berkeley for the first 7 years, of which I experienced many traumas, from scurvy to polio to a car accident to near-death experiences. And I remember I didn't eat any junk food till I was 5, and I felt really guilty because I went to the store with like a dime I had in my pocket and bought candy. And I thought, oh, okay, I'm not, my diet's not natural anymore. I broke the code. But my mom tried to raise me on natural foods, and actually, they had me go to a chiropractor probably because of my auto accident when I was 7, thinking that my spine needed a lot of work. So, they're a little bit avant-garde. They were into Whole Foods, chiropractics, so that was shunned upon back in those days, late 40s, early 50s. And being born after the war, and I'm sure my parents too, experienced prejudice against the Japanese people. And what stories I heard was my grandparents and my parents had to go to camp, I think in Utah, but I heard they only had to go for a couple of weeks. So they weren't in there for pretty much the whole time that the Japanese were in internment camps. They never talked about that. Another one of those things Japanese people don't do, talk about those kind of things. But anyway, I feel very lucky that I was raised by loving parents. They really wanted me to know that they loved them, that they loved me, and they did their best physically to care for me, eating really good, healthy foods, and me doing my sports. So that's where I got my energy. I released my energy through basically sports, basketball, baseball, football. Dad was not necessarily a disciplinarian, but he, I believe, for much of his life, wanted me to convert to the church. Of course, I didn't want to do that. And in my early days, I became sort of like a little semi-hippie kind of a guy. And that upset him. Mom didn't say much, but I'm sure she didn't like see me with long hair. Actually, I looked like an Indian. I looked like a native Indian. I had a headband on, a little bit long hair, and wore cutoffs and t-shirts. That was my clothing back in those days. But anyway, I really appreciate that my parents were very kind to me, and they taught me in their own way the golden rule, you know, don't cheat, don't lie, don't steal. Uh, Basically, the teachings that they were raised through the church, which wasn't too dogmatic from my perspective, but I never did convert to the church. That probably disappointed Dad a bit. So anyway, I'm taking this opportunity to thank my parents for being such a loving people to me and raising me correctly in spite of my defects, my faults, as it were. Probably broke every cardinal rule, right? But I was a seeker, so I had to experiment. And they tried to understand my hippiness and my wanderings, never been able to get a job or hold down a job, never having a relationship, all that kind of stuff. So I didn't live up to their American dream of getting married, raising a family, etc. But I feel very fortunate that they were very kind people. And I used to see my dad like a Zen master because his name was Zen. Well, that was his kind of like nickname. His official first name was Zenichi, and my mom's official first name was Toshiko. But I used to call my dad Zen and my mom To. I do remember my mom went into severe depression when she lost her best friend Yoshi, probably about the time that she was in her late 40s or early 50s. I remember mom just kind of changed. She became more inward, and I felt sorry for her because she didn't have a playmate. She and Yoshi used to hang out a lot. They used to go out, I think maybe bowling and stuff. But one thing I remember, it's a little bit sad story because of the conditions of the world at that time, but my parents went to Berkeley High School and they were both athletic. And for being Japanese and athletic, that was kind of rare. My mom, she was like 4'9" and she played basketball. You never heard of women playing basketball in high school, but mom, I think, was a pretty good shooter. Dad could have been the Japanese version of Jesse Owens or Rafer Johnson. If you look back in your sports history, Dad was excellent in football, baseball, basketball, and he could have got a scholarship, athletic scholarship to go to UC Berkeley, but he couldn't because he had to work for his father. And he used to tell me off and on that he regretted that. And I really felt for him because he probably could have been a world-class athlete. He just had this natural ability in all these sports. And Dad and I used to play catch football That's how I kind of learned to make these diving catches. We would go to UC Berkeley campus on the lawn area, and he would throw the football to me, and I would catch it. And, basketball, I played on my own at the local basketball court. Baseball, I played Japanese League baseball and Japanese League basketball. I was pretty good, but I didn't train, I didn't practice. Didn't have a mentor, didn't have a coach back then to encourage me. But anyway, my parents really supported me in those kind of ways. My mom used to, every Sunday morning, I had a paper route when I was in junior high school. And of course, you had to get up really early. And you know, the papers were big, so I couldn't put it on my bike. So she would drive me in the car and I would throw the newspaper out the window. And that was every Saturday morning. We'd get up like 4 o'clock, 4:30, and I had to wrap the papers and all that by about 5 o'clock in the dark. So mom was really cruel that way. She helped me out a lot. Dad had to work a lot, so he couldn't help me in those kind of ways. But I really appreciated their supporting me in my journey in my early years, trying to survive and navigate the crazy world even back then. So I'd like to take this opportunity actually to give gratitude and thanks to my parents for being the loving parents that they were. I want them to know that I appreciate them very much and that I do accept their love. And I want them to know that I love them very much. And I'm very grateful that they helped bring me into this world at this time to finish my my soul journey here. Yeah, Dad was like a Zen master. I used to see them. Actually, it was probably a recollection in some lifetimes in Tibet, you know, where he was a Zen master. Maybe I was a student or fellow monk, but I used to see them kind of like a Zen master. He was very quiet in his own ways, but I remember when he had a job as a grocery clerk at, I think, Save More Market in Berkeley, California, on Shattuck University. Of course, that store's not there anymore. But he used to, on the weekends, uh, be a checkout clerk. And I used to go with him there just to watch him. And I was so amazed that he could talk to anybody. I mean, he was so friendly and he was so well liked and so respected and honored. And every customer that he checked out, he would have a conversation with them. So maybe that's where in my later life I picked up this knack of being able to relate to people and feeling free to talk to anybody and everybody about anything. But anyway, mom was rather the silent type. She was kind of introverted. Um, I don't remember her complaining too much about life. She just took care of the house and dad worked a lot. So in a way, I was raised with the Christian principles of the golden rule. And kind of, in fact, I always remember that from being a young age, that if one thing that I would do would be to do my best to live by the golden rule. The Ten Commandments, I wasn't so much into that. Um, and I wasn't really into church. But like I said before, I would go to church because I got to stay at grandma's house and have her beautiful breakfasts and lunches and have her take my naps there and have her give blessings on my body before I would eat. So really, I went to church because of grandma. So mom and dad, again, I know sometimes you come around and funny thing is they never recognized me. They never saw me for who I was, even up till the time that they made departure in their 80s. I was fortunate to be with both of them before they passed on and to give them telepathic and verbal instructions on go to the light, right? And that their friends and angels would be there to greet them. So I very much appreciate the strong cultural upbringing, even though much of it was silent and kind of assumed. I would do my best to be a good little boy. But of course, like in elementary school, I never got a star for being a good kid for a week. In fact, in my whole career in elementary school, third grade to sixth grade, I think I got 3 stars. So you would get a star if you went 1 week without misbehaving in class. I think I got 3 stars total. I was the class cut up, if you can understand that. Comedy team was very much with me back then. Of course, I didn't know it, but I was kind of like a version of Red Skelton and Jack Benny and Steve Allen, I think, all rolled in one in a little kid's body. But anyway, this is a good time of the season because it's near the ending of the year. Again, I would like to give my appreciation and gratitude to my loving parents. And I know they're in a good place. And I know they are helping me out as best they can from the other side. And I want them to know that I know that. And I told this one story when I was doing a training retreat in Santa Fe back 10, 11, 12 years ago. I was presenting the material and I looked up in the corner of the room and there were my parents and they were like sitting in a balcony kind of a setting. And my mom kind of nudged my dad with her elbow and she like said, see, he's doing it. He made it. So I know that they see me now for who I am and what I'm striving to do in the world regarding my spiritual work. And I know they appreciate that. Grandma as well. Grandma comes every now and then too. So anyway, I wanted to give big hugs to Grandma and my parents and to thank them for a job well done with me, even though it took me a long time to come around. I've arrived. So not to worry about the kid anymore. He's doing just fine. Oh, and by the way, Grandma and Mom and Dad, if you are willing and if you are allowed, support me in creating beautiful financial abundance so that we can carry on the work together. So I am open to receiving financial aid from the other side, from my relatives. And again, you can always send unexpected payments through PayPal. That's the comedy team's joke about sending money by PayPal. But anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this little backstory. And we're doing it because also to give you support and inspiration to come to closure with your parents in whatever way you wish to do that. It is always good to bring closure to your relationships, especially your family relationships. Be parents, kids, pets, significant others. And know that your parents and those that raised you did the best they could, given their level of comprehension and awareness. And to just send them love and gratitude and appreciation. So thank you for hanging out with me today. And again, I hope this has been some kind of inspiration for you. And perhaps you now have some insights on your own personal healing journey with your parents and relatives. So thank you for today. Many, many blessings for the new year. And I hope you've had a great learning year this year. Next year is going to be more fun, more intense, more miracles and manifestation. So thank you. Many blessings to you all. Namaste.